Today's movie is Amityville Scarecrow. Play the theme.
Kyle's Reviews! Kyle's Reviews!
All right. As always, if you want to watch this movie, there's links below where you can rent it, or if it's available elsewhere, I got links to just watch. So please check it out. All right. Amityville Scarecrow from 2021. Who knew that they were making Amityville movies? Well, my guess is that because Amityville is the name of a town and allegedly this was a real story, that anybody can make a movie with the name Amityville in it. So there are tons of movies that have this name. Amityville Scarecrow is one of them. So I would love to know the genesis of this, because this movie is set in a summer camp.
Hey, this party surprise.
Amityville?
That's right.
Like the Amityville house.
Yeah, you think they got their franchises confused? And to make things more confusing, it's in the UK. Now, they mention at one point they tried to give an excuse why everybody's British, and maybe it's actually supposed to be in America?
She purchased this land to reinvent it. And then she moved us to the UK and sat on it for over 20 years.
However, this excuse is kind of rings hollow because all the cars have the UK license plates and they all have the steering wheel on the right side. So they're clearly in the UK. Okay, anyway. Well, first, also, you should know this campground, it's not like what we think of as a campground. It's more like a field where people go take their RVs and just hang out. So even though the description's like it's a campground, which gives you images of Friday the 13th or what is it, Camp Blood? It's not. Anyway, what's it about? Well, there are two estranged adult sisters. Their mom has died and left them this campground. So they are trying to meet at the campground to figure out what they're going to do with the property. To make things more complicated, the husband, she used to be with the one sister, then she left and got with the other sister, and she's still with that second sister. So obviously, you can see why the first sister would be a little mad. Make things worse, they both have daughters, and he's apparently the father of both of them. Now, they don't actually come out and say this. They kind of slowly reveal it, so you're just like, is that daughter? Are they both his daughters? And they don't really say it until almost the end of the movie. At least I didn't catch that.
You killed Dad. He was always more of a dad to you than he was to me. I hardly remember him.
So that's really confusing. And as far as the Scarecrow goes, they try to give some story like, oh, this is on the property of the Amityville house that was burnt down. And then when the sisters were kids, they were young girls, their mom ran a campground and a little girl got killed there. And so ooh, the ground is poisoned, it's evil.
So the story goes that evil lurks on the land. Any grudge that's been had with the land remains, waiting to take its vengeance.
But really, the movie is a lot more interested in dealing with the trauma and the complicated family relationships between these two sisters.
I haven't seen her in so many years. It's hard to be excited, you know?
What happened in the past is in the past. I'm sure she's grown up enough to realise that. What happened, and we've just got to go out there and get on with it.
I mean, even the man, they all seem really sorry. He even's like, oh, I didn't want this to happen, and stuff like that. The acting's not that great. In fact, the daughters, at least the first time you see the mother and the daughter, like, how old were you when you had this kid? 8? So there's that. And the fact that these are basically our 5 characters. So there's not a lot of killing going on. We start off with some randos getting killed, and oh boy. That dude in the beginning, whoo, that is some actoring.
Are you sure no one's around?
I'm sure.
I don't know.
You nervous? Hey, you don't need to be. Just be here with me. In the moment. That's all I gotta do, alright?
Well, yeah, but what if someone just pops out of nowhere?
This isn't a horror film, Sadie. Besides, can you think of a better place to go?
And you look up him on IMDb, and it's very funny because he's like, oh, I'm a philanthropist, and he has all these parts listed, and I would say half of them are uncredited. So yeah, he's an actor. But it's not scary. The Scarecrow kind of looks kind of cool, but because there are so few people, there's not a lot of deaths. And the Scarecrow is a wimp. So at one point, near the second half of the movie, because it does take a long time, we do dealing with all this family drama. At one point, the Scarecrow has apprehended one of the sisters. Why the Scarecrow didn't just kill her, and not really spelled out. And the other sister comes up, hits him on the head, and he's down on all fours, hands and knees, and she's like liberally dousing him with gas, and he's just like, oh, I'm like, dude, what kind of bad guy is this? You get hit once on the head, and you're, oh, I'm going to sit here for several seconds while you pour gas on me. Not very threatening. It's just not good. There's also like things where they find all these abandoned cars where presumably these are people that have like wandered onto the campground and gotten killed. But like one of the cars just so happens to have a newspaper from back when that kid got killed. And the daughter's like, let me see if it still starts. And it does.
These have been here years. I wonder if they still work.
A car's been sitting around that long, and it's just going to start right up. Sure thing. It took me 2 tries to watch this. The first time, after like 20 minutes, I'm done. So I went back, and I started watching it. The family drama stuff's okay, but it's not a horror movie. It's not a slasher movie. It's not scary. 5 thumbs down. They keep making these, so somebody must watch them. Don't encourage them. I would like you to encourage me, though, by liking and subscribing and hitting that bell.